Good morning, and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools and community for those who want it. For those of you who don't know me, I am Reverend Tucker. I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis. I'm an ordained minister of 23 years. So today I'm going to be talking about don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. I don't know how many of you have had that issue. I always have that issue, but I'm learning to do it better. I want to remind you that because we're going through this StreamYard software, we do not see people when they enter, or at least I don't. Faith does, but I don't get to see it. So if you're here, please say hi. I would appreciate it. Then I know I have an audience. If you would like to do a watch party, you can just click on the watch party, and you can watch it with your friends. We're trying to get our readership up, or our attendees up, and so we really appreciate it if you do watch parties. I want to invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, and allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
I know there is one presence in the universe, that it exists everywhere and for all time. And I know this presence is one great body of love and perfection. And I know that it animates not only the planets, but down to the smallest subatomic level. All of these things are indwelled by this one great spirit that animates and moves us, that lives in us as us. I know this is true, and I know that the best is happening right now if we allow it. I allow that presence to move forward through our service. I know that the message reaches out and touches people across space and across time, for God is everywhere and everywhere. It is with us right now, in us as us, the loving presence that gives us our being. For this blessing that's ongoing, I give great thanks, and I let it be so, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. Let me do a quick introduction of everybody here. This is Bob Oswald. We call him Oz, the great and powerful Oz, who is supporting me on the pulpit today and is our practitioner in the service. So thank you, Oz. And then also we have Tina, Albertina Giuffre, who has been a soloist in our church since 2000. and she will be performing our music today. And I believe this one is from Fairy Elaine. Is that correct? Yeah. So we are doing Elaine Silver's music, Fairy Elaine Silver. And she has graciously asked us to use her music for these, so we really appreciate her. And so let me boot this next one up here. Life is good.
We are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. I hear it and know it, my being. Spirit is all I am seeing. For God is all there is. Grateful am I to be living, open to what I have seen, honoring what I've been given, sharing now what I believe. I remember the oneness around me. I surrender to infinite light, knowing the love that's surrounding me is within me by day and night. And we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. Yes, we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it.
Okay, so I want to remind you that you have little buttons down at the bottom there. If you like something that is said or the music or anything that you like about the service, do the thumbs up. And if you love something that is said or performed today, you can always do the little heart. We like to get love. It's so interesting doing this live streaming instead of from the pulpit, because I get feedback from people's body language and, them looking at me and smiling or, yawning or what, but I'm used to getting that feedback, and I don't get that feedback. So yes, thank you for the love. We love it. And then if something in particular really inspires you, really gets you at the gut level, there's always that little wow. So please use those buttons. So here is the infamous Tina Giuffre.
Your wish is my command. Oh, place the spirit now. Your wish is my command. Or whatever you allow. Your wish is my command. Oh, place the universe. Your wish is my command. To make it heaven here on earth. I'm asking and believing, open to receiving. My wish is God's command. It's been that way since time began. It's been this way since time began. Your wish is my command. Proclaims the spirit now. Your wish is my command. For whatever you allow. My wish is my command. The Spirit says to me, your wish is my command. To co-create your destiny. Manifesting moment, that's no real opponent. My wish is God's command. It's been that way since time began. It's been this way since time began. My wish is far from man. It's been this way since time began. It's been this way since time began. I'm asking everything, open to receive. My wish is far from man. It's been this way since time began. 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 It's been this way since time began.
Thank you, Tina. For those of you who don't know, Tina is from Holland. And I got to tell you this story because it just happened the other day. Was that Friday or Saturday? We took the dogs to get their nails trimmed, and we took Duchess for the first time, and anywhere, to have somebody work on her, And so they had done Smokey and they'd done Duchess, and I'm standing outside with Smokey and Duchess, and Faith is in there with Daisy trying to get Daisy's nails done. And this girl comes by with this big old dog, and I'm going, Blythe, nay, Blythe. And the girl stops and she turns around and she goes, what language is that? And I said, it's Dutch. She's a Belgian Malinois and she's from Holland. And she said, I'm studying Dutch in school. I was like, I didn't even know they taught Dutch in school here. Whatever. But I thought I'd share that with you because it was really funny.
Well,
I know, right?
there's only 17 million people speaking it, so I mean, unless you have a purpose.
Right? I didn't ask her, like, are you going to Holland? Is that why you're learning to speak Dutch? Or,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tina. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I know the musicians have the same issue, like you're used to getting the applause. So I'm going to applaud Tina because usually we had a whole congregation applauding. So there we go. Oh boy. Don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. This talk was actually inspired by a practitioner in our church had this t-shirt that said, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. And it was Iyanla Vanzant. And it's one of her catchphrases. And every time I get discouraged about anything, I just remember that phrase. And I see her in that t-shirt, and it's an inspiration for me and probably will be the rest of my life. There are so many stories out there about people who persevered no matter what things look like. And they're very inspirational. And I have my favorite. It's called The Rookie. And it's a true story about a guy named Jim Morris, who he was a high school baseball star who threw his shoulder out and couldn't play baseball anymore. So he became a coach. And he was coaching this team, and he was giving them this pep talk. And he was talking about following your dreams and how important it was to follow your dreams and go, And he made a deal with the team. He goes, you go out there and you win today, and I will try out for the minors. And so, he thought it was a pretty easy bet because he didn't really expect them to win. And they did. They took him at his word and they won. And so he had to go out there and try out for the minors, and he got in. And he was out on the road for a while, a couple months, and he was making fairly decent money as a chemistry teacher and a coach. And he was only making like $600 a month in the minors, and was getting kind of discouraged because, he didn't think his dream was going to happen. And so he says to his agent, well, first of all, he starts thinking to himself, man, is this even worth it? I'm away from my family. I'm not making very much money. I'll never get into the majors. I don't know if this is even worth it. So he says to his agent, do you think this is really going to happen? And his agent is like, well, I don't really know what to say to you about that. I can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen. So he says, well, I think I'm going to go home. And his agent says, you only have 2 weeks left. Stay the 2 weeks. You never know what could happen in those 2 weeks. And he says, no, I think I'm going to go home. I miss my family. I miss my wife. I just want to be with my family, my kids, and I just don't want to do this. So he calls up his wife and he says, I'm coming home. And she says, I don't think you want to do that. And he said, yeah, I do. She says, you only have 2 weeks left. Stay, finish it out. He says, no, I miss you guys. I want to come home. I'm done. I'm only making $600 a month. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. So I'm just thinking I'm going to come home. And she says, fine, as long as you come home for the right reason. Don't come home because you're giving up. Come home because you really want to be here, but don't come back because you're giving up. So he goes to the baseball park and he's sitting there and he's watching these kids play, and he realizes that he made a promise to those kids that he coached. And he felt like if he went home at that point, he was letting them down. So he decided, okay, I'll stay for those 2 weeks. It's not that big of a deal. I can make it 2 more weeks. I've been gone 3 or 4 months. And there was a scout at the next game from the majors, and he played the best game of his life, and he got into the majors that day. Now, if he'd gone home when he said he was going to go home, if he had given up, he would not be in the majors. And he went on to have a very successful career with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. You may be familiar with him, Oz. I don't know. Now, how many times have you given up on something 5 minutes before that miracle happened? You might say, oh, it's just a way of keeping hope alive. And we get tired, don't we? I know I do. I've seen miracles happen just about the time we can't take anymore. It's amazing. And the idea is to visualize and affirm and treat and meditate and journal until it manifests, no matter what it looks like. Dr. Ernest Holmes says, even when it looks like the science of mind is not working, it is working. So we work on our belief systems and we replace the negative beliefs with positive ones, and we keep the vision in place no matter what happens. And getting back to what Jim Morris said to the kids he was coaching, he said, dreams are what life's about, and you owe it to yourself to follow your dreams. Now, I'm not talking about daydreams. I'm not talking about, oh, one day I'd like to's. I'm not talking about those kind of dreams. I'm talking about fire in the belly dreams that make you want to strive for something better, to create the life you want. I did a series once about creating the life we want, creating with our mind and affirming with our heart, and making sure that our heart and mind were in absolute alignment with the life we were pursuing. And what your heart is longing for you to do is the kind of dreams we're talking about. And those are the dreams that life is all about. And we owe it to ourselves to follow those dreams. Now, that doesn't mean you run out and make things happen or come true. It's about allowing, not forcing the miracle. Like, one time we did this prosperity class in our church, and it was really interesting because this one lady that was there had wanted to come to Denver, and she had started to do visioning and meditation and prayer and journaling and all about coming to Denver. And the end result was, she was here in Denver, and she got this job as an IT person. She had no background in IT at all. She was she had been in the insurance industry for a really long time, like 20 years or something. And it was really interesting because she just got this urge to fill out this application and send her resume in out of nowhere. It just came from nowhere. And she's like, I don't know why I would be applying for this job. Well, we also had somebody in that class that had 25 years in the IT business and could not get a job to save her life. And what I really understood when I was listening to the woman who couldn't get a job is she was sending out like 100 resumes a month and could not get a job. And so we talked about that a little bit. We talked about what the importance of doing the visioning so you know what the vision is, and doing the meditation so you're sinking into that vision and you're allowing yourself to steep in what that vision is, and then doing the affirmations that support that, and then doing the journaling so you can uncover hidden beliefs, or you can just allow yourself to fully visualize what it's going to be like when you have that dream answered, versus sending out 100 resumes. And what we came to the conclusion is that because the one lady had sent out just the one resume, she had sent out other resumes for the insurance industry, to be sure, but she wasn't sending like 100 of them. She was just following what her gut was saying to her about it. And she got the job, even though she had no experience in IT. Now, she didn't stay in IT. She didn't like it, which I'm sure really irritated the person that was trying to get that job. But it's not about forcing the miracle. It's about allowing. And what we do is set the intention. We do the work with affirmations and prayer. We sit in meditation until we're inspired to act on our dreams. And we see that we are usually given the right thing to do at just the right time to do it. And it's amazing if we allow ourselves to follow our intuition in the moment instead of running around like crazy people trying to make the dream come true. Now, that was a lesson I had to learn because I'm a driver. For those of you who know personality tests or whatever, these personality assessments, which means that I really want to make things happen. So I'm out there, woof, woof, grunt, grunt, trying to make them all happen really fast, you know. And this dear friend of mine, Marie Gay, who was a practitioner at Mile High Church, had this inspiration for her own memorial. So when she died and we were at her memorial, she had these little angel cards that have like one word on them, and they were all spiritual qualities. And so she had them place a basket in the back, and she asked as a last wish that we, who were at her memorial, get up and take one of those angel cards home with us. And so I go up and I dig through the basket and I pull out allow, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I allow things to happen all the time. And I really had to think about that for a minute, because the truth is I didn't allow things to happen. I'm out there driving to make them happen. And so the whole thing was a lesson for me to sit in meditation and really understand what allow meant. Allow means that I'm not attached to how it happens or when it happens. I'm not out there trying to make it happen. Allow means I set the goal. I know what I want. I know that urge within me, that inner presence of God wants me to do. I know what that is. And all I need to do is keep my mind focused on that vision and get rid of any limiting beliefs that are keeping me from that vision and stay in the present moment. You see, we get lost in things that have happened in the past. Is there anybody here that has not had one bad thing happen to them in their life, in their past? All of us have had bad things happen to us. All of us have been through it. And you know, I don't talk about this very much. My background, I don't talk about it very much. But in this situation, I think it's important to tell you about. When I was 18, I was raped. And I spent a very long time not feeling safe in my world because of it. It took me about 10 years to get over it. I was walking around with a gun around every corner, you know, like I was Charlie's Angel or something like that. And about 10 years later, after that happened, it was during a snowstorm, and we were down to one car. And I had this Malamute, so I felt pretty safe. So I decided to walk to the gas station. And I walked in the middle of the night to the gas station, and that was the first time that I ever felt safe being out in the dark, even in my own yard. So that was a major aha that I had about how I was letting that past limit me. I was also beat up and left for dead in a Hollywood nightclub parking lot when I was about 22, I think it was. And so, you know, things happen in our past. And if I've lived through all of those things, you know, I'm here today to be able to speak about it very, very clearly, because the past has no precedence over principle. And that's what Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder, says. The past has no precedence over principle, meaning no matter what's happened to you in the past, no matter what you've been through, no matter what has transpired in your life today, the present moment is the only thing that matters. The past has no power over you unless you let it. Unless you are willing to be the victim of your past. And I'm not willing to do that. I don't think any of you are either. But you have to learn to let it go. You have to make a conscious effort to let all the past go, because it doesn't have to be who you are. You see, holding on to the past is a little like having this baggage that you're holding on to and trying to jump over a crevice. I mean, if you're jumping from one cliff to the other, and you have this baggage, you're going to fall into the crevice. You're going to fall down all the way down to the bottom. Or are you going to let go of the baggage? You know, which are you going to do? Let go of the baggage and successfully make it to the next cliff? I personally think I would rather give up the baggage than sink to the bottom like that. So I think it's very, very important to stay in the present moment. I had to laugh. There was this reality show one time where Vanilla Ice, Tammy Faye Bakker, and Ron Jeremy were all in the same house. Now, for those of you who don't know, Vanilla Ice is a rapper. Tammy Faye Bakker is an evangelical preacher who used to cry and her makeup would run. She got famous for that. And Ron Jeremy is a porn star. And they were all in the same house. Imagine a scene where a rapper, an evangelical Christian pastor, and a porn star are sitting in the living room of this house. Imagine those conversations. It was fascinating. So Vanilla Ice had never seen Tammy Faye Bakker, so he didn't know who she was. And while they were stuck in this house, because that was the reality show. I can't remember the name of it. While they were stuck in this house, she had a speaking engagement. So he decided to go. And it was really fascinating because this is the thing that struck him the most. And he talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. And that was, she was talking about forgiveness. And she was saying, you know, back in the old days, I don't know, the dark ages, if you murdered somebody, they used to strap that body onto your back and let it decay until it fell off your body. And she said, unforgiveness is a lot like carrying around that dead carcass on your back, rotting away and stinking and keeping you from being able to achieve your goals. And that just struck him. Like, he was like, oh my God, I've seen the light. It was really interesting. I don't know, Ron Jeremy, you know, nothing phases him. Tina and I, remember that, Tina? Tina and I actually met Ron Jeremy in Hollywood, North Hollywood. We were there to see the doctors. And so we stayed in this hotel, and I walked right by him, and she goes, do you know who that is? And I go, no. I'm going to get Tina back up here because I want her to. I didn't even know who he was. I know.
Of all the people in the world, we were hoping to meet somebody famous. There he was.
That would not have been my choice, but whatever. And he was so funny because he's like, do you want an autograph? We're like,
no, it's very interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, so I don't know what his deal was. Like, I don't know if he even knew who Tammy Faye Baker was, but, you know, nothing phases him. He's just who he is. Anyway. Oh, goodness. I just thought that was a fun memory from our past. Oh, gosh. So anyway, I liken that, you know, stinking corpse to holding on to the past, because when we hold on to the past, there's this stinking, rotting corpse sitting on our back, and it's causing us not to be able to do what it is that our inner presence is urging us forward to do. We can't live our vision if all we can think about is what's happened to us, what somebody did to us. And if we're feeling like a victim, there's no victor there. Remember the other day, a couple weeks ago, when I was talking about the attachment and involvement, and I was talking about the victim quadrants and the victor quadrants? Well, you can't even enter the victor quadrant if you're stuck in the past, because you're feeling like a victim. And the way you manifest the life you want, the miracles you want, is by becoming the victor. So now let's talk about the future for a minute, because so many of us live in the future. You know, I remember so many times in my lifetime when I used to think, well, I'll be happy when that happens, or, you know, I'll be happy when I have this amount of money, or I'll be happy when I'm in that house, or I'll be happy when I'm able to do this. I'll be happy when I am able to do that. And particularly now, yes, I will be happier when I don't have to wear a mask and I have the freedom I had before COVID-19 was killing off people. But I don't wait for my happiness until there's a vaccine. So I don't have to do that anymore. And what I've learned in my journey is that unless I'm happy today, unless I'm joyful today, unless I'm willing to sit in the joy and happiness today, that day will never come. The day that everything is perfect so that I can be happy doesn't come. Because if I keep putting off my happiness until something happens, tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow becomes today, and then that today has another tomorrow. And so then I'm putting off my happiness again. Well, when that happens, I'll be happy. And all you can do is sit there and say that. And then when that happens, there's something else. If that happens, I'll be happy, right? So that's not good. Faith, we need to clean that up. Okay. That's not good. It's all over those cords. Okay. And now I can't get the light. See, I get so carried away. I really, truly speak with my hands. Oh, goodness.
I'm going to go grab a towel.
Okay.
So continue.
All right. So what's really important about the present moment is being able to sit in the present moment and say, I'm happy now. I'm filled with joy now. No matter what it looks like on the outside, it doesn't really matter, because I know what I have faith in. What I absolutely trust is that God in me knows what I'm trying to do. And the answer is always, always, always yes. And it has already said yes. And all I have to do is work on my belief systems to get there. That's the most important thing about being in the present moment. That's the only place we have any power anyway. if you go to the movies and sometimes, you know, how you see the backdrop of things that have happened in the past, that's really what it is. We've learned our lessons. We've taken the information. We've done something with it. Like just now, I've just ruined my whole desk. And now it's just sort of a backdrop. And the future is lying ahead of us. And all we need to know about the future that we want to create. That's all we need to do. Because we make the form, like a cookie cutter. You know, remember Christmas cookies? When you would make and there's no water left. I'll make it through. Remember those little Christmas cookie cutters that, you know, you could have a Christmas tree, or you could have a Santa, or you could have a reindeer, or you could have, you know, whatever you want. Well, we would put it into the dough, and the dough would fill up the cookie cutter. And then when you put it in the oven, it would, you know, expand. And that's what our life really is. We're the cookie cutter. We decide what we want. I decide I want a tree, for example, and God fills in like the dough, and it expands to a much bigger vision than I could ever have myself. So that's how religious science works. Just remember the cookie cutter and dough. In practical application, the way we do this is we vision. We uncover our negative beliefs that are keeping us from this vision. We meditate, we pray, we journal about the wonderful vision that we have. We stay in that present moment by paying attention to the details. Look around you. Notice every tree, every person, every car. Just keep yourself focused on the present moment. Listen to every sound around you, the buzzing of a bee, the birds chirping, the cars that drive down the street, the howling at 8 o'clock of your neighbors. Yes, they're still doing it. I hear them every night, 8 o'clock. Try to hear the plants and trees growing. Has anybody ever heard that? Do you know in the bamboo forest, you can actually hear the bamboo shoots growing? They make this like pop sound as they grow. So listen for the plants and trees. You know, I like to sit on my front porch and listen to the plants all around me. I do my meditation, and then I'm wide open, and my hearing and my vision is just so clear. Can you get me a bottle of water, please? My vision is just so clear and present that what happens is I begin to hear the rustling of the trees. And when I look at them, they're shimmering, and I can actually feel their growth, even the plants. So for those of you who've been around a while, you're going to love this. Back in 2008, I purchased this thing called a Royal Empress tree. And remember, it came to me as a stick with a little bulb on the bottom of it. And I planted this thing, and, you know, it did absolutely nothing. All the literature said, you know, that it would grow 18 feet in 1 year. Well, that was when it was planted in the South. So my expectations were high. I knew I wouldn't get 18 feet a year because we're not in the South, and we have a much different zone and much different weather. But I figured it would grow at least, you know, 4 or 5 feet a year. Okay. So the very first year, we planted it and it just pretty much died. And we cut it to the ground. And the reason I bought it, of course, is because it has these beautiful purple flowers, right? It has these little itty bitty flowers that make up these big, huge clusters. And it's really amazing. Look it up sometime. Go Google it. It's really a beautiful, beautiful flower. And so, you know, I love the genesis of the plant too, because the Royal Empress tree is a dowry tree in China. And what used to happen is when a girl was born to a family in China, they would plant a Royal Empress tree because the hardwood is so perfect for a hope chest. So when she would get married, they would make the hope chest from that tree, and it would go along with her as her dowry. And now here's the thing. It's, you know, I'm reading this information and I'm saying, yeah, I didn't really believe it would grow 18 feet in the year. So I chopped it down and it grew 18. Oh, yeah, I'm reading this information. This guy's saying, I really didn't believe that it would grow 18 feet in 1 year. And so I chopped it down to the roots, and it grew 18 feet the next year, you know. So even this person lives in the state down south. So my expectation was, you know, it'll grow at least 4 or 5 feet. So I plant the stick, we dutifully water it, we just baby this plant. I mean, we really poured all kinds of love into it. And at the end of the season, it died, so we cut it down. And the next year, it actually grew about 4 feet, and it had these big, beautiful leaves on it. What is that tree, Oz? Oh goodness, you had a bunch of them in your yard. Hang on, I got to get Oz in on this. Oh. Oz went
That
on
was a catalpa tree.
catalpa.
And
That's
the
right.
Paulonia, Royal Empress is a relative of it, similar to a catalpa tree.
Oh, that's why those leaves look so much like the catalpa tree.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
they're similar. My parents had one in Arkansas.
See, you just never know. You just never know. Down south, they grow like crazy. Anyway, so it had these big, beautiful leaves, but they were mangled and stuff. And at the end of the season, it died. So the next year, we cut that stump down, and we had 4 little babies that grew out of it. And it was kind of like a bush. And I thought, okay, we can let it be a bush. It doesn't have to be a tree. I'm sure a bush will be just as, good. And so I'm not pushing, I'm allowing. And so we let it be a bush, and it bushed out again. The leaves were kind of mangled. And I'm not sure that we don't have rabbits or bugs eating them, to be perfectly honest with you. But anyway, it's now been 12 years, and it has bloomed one time in all those years. And it actually had continuous growth for 3 years in a row. But now we're back to it being a bush, because every year we thump on the branches, and they're hollow. So every year we cut it down, and every year it comes back, but it's always new growth. So here's the point. I didn't give up on that poor little tree, even though it looked horrible for most of those years. And even now, it's not really the best thing to look at. It just is this bush with a bunch of big leaves. And I'm reasonably certain that at some point we will have those big purple flowers again. And I can almost feel that little tree growing, remember that little rubber tree plant? That's how I feel about it. Oh, goodness. But that's been the perfect example for me about the miracle, because I'm letting that tree stay there. I'm not going to dig it up. I'm not going to cut it down and try to poison it. I'm just going to let it do its thing. And I am still holding the vision for that tree to bush out into a tree and have these big purple flowers down. I just know it'll happen. I don't need a dowry tree. But anyway, another thing is feel your feelings without judging them. Just notice what they are and let them be there. That's part of the meditation and prayer. That's part of the vision. What do I call it? Courting the vision. Because we already know what the vision is, but we want to get down to the basics of this present moment and feeling what it feels like to be in that perfect moment. We're so used to reacting to our emotions and we judge them. So don't judge them. Just notice what they are. We're so used to saying, I don't want to feel that emotion. I don't want to feel that feeling. But the truth of the matter is, if we just acknowledge the feeling, it won't last. It won't stick around. All it wants for us to say is, I acknowledge you. And it just goes like anger, like fear. The trick of all that is to notice what it is and focus on the opposite. Allow the vision to unfold naturally, focusing on the information you receive in meditation. Because if you're looking for a job, for example, and you're throwing out 100 resumes, you're wasting your time and energy. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It's not, and you don't judge it. But if you're doing that, it's a waste of your time and energy. If instead you sit in meditation with a list that you have, you're able to pick out the ones that are going to be fruitful for you. And so that's what we suggest you do. And I got to tell you, when I wrote the meat of this sermon years ago, I was in the middle of learning the biggest lesson in my life of allowing. My dog, my Malamute, had developed bone cancer, and his life was going to be forever changed once we amputated his leg. So I had to learn how to allow life to be different. And it was really funny because he was going out front to go to the bathroom because we had these 3 steps out back, or steep steps, not 3 steps, steep steps. A 3-legged dog with a missing leg on the front makes it a little more difficult for them to go up and down the stairs, at least at first. And so, he had this little squirrel that he used to chase up and down the fence, and the squirrel would bark at him and he would bark at the squirrel. And I thought they hated each other. I didn't know. I thought they were fighting. And after his surgery one day, I was sitting on my couch and I looked at the back door, and here's this little squirrel with his face against the glass, and he's going, and he's looking for Chakwa. It was just so interesting to realize that there's this whole life out there that animals have that we have no idea about. And if we just allow life to be, it's amazing. There used to be this fallacy that dogs would fight if you got them together. Well, now we have dog parks where they congregate together. And, people have always told me, oh, you can't have your dogs around birds. Well, I have 2 birds, and I have dogs that, Duchess comes up and when Buddy's sitting on my lap, Duchess comes up and drops her ball right on Buddy. And they get along, as long as she doesn't trample him, everything's fine. But we have to get used to allowing nature to take its course, because we are not good at that. We humans think we have to get involved in it and push it somehow. And the truth of the matter is that if we just allow, yes, you have to put guidelines on dogs. Please understand me. My dogs have to adhere to my rules. But I allow them to be who they are. I don't try to force them into a mold that, like Chocwa didn't have to be like the previous Chocwa or whatever. And we don't know what will happen in the future, so we can't count on the future. So all we have is this present moment. And we call, and so we experience every moment as a treasure, and that's why we call it a gift. I invite you to do that. Experience every moment of your life as a treasure, and don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. Let's have a prayer. So I just move into the awareness of God in this moment as I notice it is 11:11. Hi, Fred and Kathy. Interesting. This has happened like the last 3 times, I want to say. So I just move into this moment where I acknowledge the power and presence of God in all its forms. For I know that the essence of life is simply all there is. I see it in the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees. I see it in the ocean and the waves and even the sand. I see it so clearly in all of nature, in the rustling of the trees. I love my ally, the wind, when I sit and I can allow it to move through me instead of butting up against it. I allow it to move through me just as I allow God to move through me. For God is simply all there is, all there ever has been, all there ever will be, only God. So I know that that is the truth about me, that I am that beingness of God that moves through me. The heart that beats within me is God's heart. The life that lives me is God's life. The love that emanates from me is God's love. I open myself each week as an open channel through which God's truth speaks, so that everyone here may be uplifted and inspired by God's words, not mine. So I know that that is the essence of my very beingness, who and what I am. And I know the same truth to be so for Faith and for Oz and for Tina. For we as one life come together to present one message, to bring life into life, to usher in God's life through us. I know the same truth to be so for everyone who is listening today, whether that be during the moment we are broadcasting or the days that follow. I know that we are all one. There is no place where I leave off and anyone else begins. And there is no place where anyone else leaves off and I begin. For God is that one power, that one presence, that one life that is in and through each of us. One life. And so I bless this coming week. I know that all of the information that was presented today is something we carry with us, that we live, that we actually embody the words of. For God has so clearly put forth the message that here and now, the miracle has already been granted. And all we need is to focus our attention on that life, on that presence, on that being, on that vision. And so I give thanks for every name that is in the ministry of prayer today, because I do know that God is absolutely in the midst of the solution to every challenge. And so I declare it, I accept it in their name as done and good and very good. And I just let that be. And so with gratitude in my heart, I let this be, and so it is. Amen. All right, let's see. This is a time for our offering where we have the opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and blessings and offerings. And your opportunity to experience that which you have already manifested and give thanks for that. And for those things that you have created in the mind of God that have not yet manifest in the physical realm. And so I invite you to go to oasiscsl.org. And about the middle of the page, the very first homepage, you will see the offering affirmation that we have you say with us and the Donate Now button. But let me say a little bit about donate quickly. Donate means, I donate off a one-time thing. And I invite you to participate, to contribute instead. Contribution to our message, a contribution to our center allows the world, or at least gives us a leg up on allowing the world to hear our message. So I want to thank you for contributing, and I want you to please consider contributing monthly or weekly or whatever you are urged to do through God within you. All right, say the offering affirmation with me, whether you're watching it right now or you're watching it later. You can say it because it's right there. If you are watching the, let's see, this perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. And here's Tina.
Are you ready for a miracle? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I want to know you ready for a miracle. Yeah, are you ready for a miracle? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah. Blessed be the ones who blessed be the ones who blessed be the meek. Blessed be the innocent, blessed all be free. Blessed be the miracle, blessed be the rain.
Thank you, Tina. You know, I want to invite everybody to go
Uh-huh.
visit our website. Huh?
I said
I
the
want to.
hardest thing is to stay still on this song. I want
I
to
know.
move, but I can't because of the stupid little microphone.
I know, right? I know. Oh, I remember. So I was just going to say, uh, years ago, we used to do that. The choir used to do that. So if you go onto our website, we want to invite you to go to our website, oasiscsl.org, and check out the past sermons. If you go to Are You Ready for a Miracle, which is when I originally did the sermon, I left the song on there because I want people to hear how good we were. We were awesome when we did that song. You remember?
Yeah, and when we weren't limited by all this technical stuff.
I know, right? I know. I know. But anyway, all right. So thank you, Tina. Let's see. We okay. We have this wonderful group of licensed practitioners from coast to coast, our Ministry of Prayer, the God Squad, who will pray on requests every day for a week. So I want to invite you, if you would like prayer this week, to please say prayer in the comment section, and what, health or relationship or, money or whatever, just put one word for what you would like prayer for. And we have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners coast to coast who will pray on those requests every day for a week. And also, our practitioners are available by appointment for a fee. If you would like a session with them for spiritual guidance, you can set that up by messaging them, and they'll set an appointment and they will video chat with you. Our practitioner of the day, as I said before, is the wise and wonderful and the powerful Oz. And he's available for what we call our 1-minute miracle. And that is a time where you can share whatever challenge you're experiencing. It is not a time for counseling, but he will stop, drop, and pray with you right there. And he will do that by video chat. So if you reach out to him by video chat, he will pray with you. And be patient. If you don't get through to him right away, it means that he's praying with someone else, and just try back in a few more minutes. If you would like to serve on our God Squad, we invite anyone, no matter what denomination, as long as you're willing to pray on those requests every day for a week, to join our God Squad. So just type yes in the comments section. And we have a Facebook group that is private, so no one else sees those prayer requests. And then we have a public-facing page or group that is for our online community. So if you would like to be part of that online community, please type more in the comments section, and Faith will put your name on the list. All right. That way you get advance notice of things that are happening. Let's see. I want to just Brooks and Bailey. Let's do that first. Brooks and Bailey, where to go? Go. Nope, that's not it. Oh, I can never find this thing. I really need to get it on this one. There it is. Brooks and Bailey. Yep, that's the one. Okay, so this is handmade malas and bracelets, and the proceeds fund the Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue. You can contact her at Brooks and Bailey. I'm sure you can probably, 307, yeah, at Gmail. Is that what that says? That's the one disadvantage of having it down here, so I'm not looking up at the big thing up there. Anyway, she will make these wonderful malas or bracelets for you, custom made, and they're really beautiful. I own some bracelets that she did for me. They're awesome. Okay, let's see. Elaine's music is available. Faith is now putting that in the comments. Fairy Elaine Silver, her music is wonderful, and I encourage you to buy her CDs to support her, since she is so lovingly letting us use her music for this. As well, Karen Drucker has she's gifted us with her entire collection of music, and we will be tithing to her each week off of the contributions. And I invite you to support her also by purchasing her music. She has some awesome stuff. She has chants. She has affirmation CDs. She has song CDs, songs that she's written that just, she's awesome. I just really love Karen Drucker, and she's very supportive of all our churches. So Faith is also putting that link down there. I would like to encourage you to check out Brooks Ltd, which is, she's a designer. She's my cousin. Yeah. But she's a designer, and her stuff is one of a kind, and it's so beautiful. So check that out. She also makes masks for you. And then, let's see, that's it. Those are the announcements for today. All right. We're going to do our closing song here.
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And I know the surprises and the blessings of God are always with us around every corner. And I know that this is a good thing. For as good as we can imagine, God can do us one better. And in anticipation of wise and wonderful blessings for all, I give thanks for this coming week, and I let it be perfect as it can be. So it is.
And so it is. Thank you all for being with us today. I know there's 1,000 places you could be on a Sunday morning, and we're glad you're here with us. I love my team. I am so blessed with my team. Thank you, all of you. Tune in next week and every Sunday morning for our Sunday celebration. Bye until next week. You see that? There it is. Bye.